about the fact that China now has the largest number of UNESCO natural heritage list next to Italy. What do you make of this fact?
Okay, first of all, this is great news. That reflects China is one of the richest of biodiversity in the world, and have like a unique, universal, outstanding universal value, and that reflects the fact of China has like a rich nature and nature resources.
But having said that, though, the responsibilities that go with it is becoming even heavier, because when you have sites being listed on UNESCO one, then it means you have more responsibility to protect it, as the UNESCO would urge those sites to take certain protections, and also those protections will also be examined and testified by experts. So, Mr. Zhu, tell us about how it works.
Actually, nomination of the World Nature Heritage Site or the Nature and Culture Heritage Site have to meet the criteria they call the universal, outstanding universal values. So normally, like need to send a mission to do the evaluation, to do the field studies, and also the stakeholder consultations.
And your organization, of course, has always been called up to form an expert panel to do exactly that.
Yeah.
So who would qualify for those experts? And what are the barometers they would use to examine?
Actually, like IUCN is play a role as the technical support body to responsible to send a mission to do the evaluation of the nominated World Nature and Nature and Cultural Heritage Site. The composition of the mission normally include like Chinese experts in the different field, different disciplines, and also the international expert who knows China's. Yeah, that's
in Shennongjia's case, what does that mean?
That means invited by IUCN, composition, international experts and Chinese experts. They did a mission to visit the site and to do the study, collect the information, and also did like a stakeholders consultation. Then have this mission report as the supporting document for the application of the World Nature Heritage Site.
Professor Qi, it's really your turn to talk, because after knowing the criteria and after knowing that Shennongjia has eventually been selected by the UNESCO on its list, it's great news, and yet, what does that mean? The issue of conservation vis-a-vis commercialization or the use of tourism, that has become a very big one here in China.
I think enlisting Shennongjia into this UNESCO list of natural heritage sites is really something to celebrate. On the other hand, we understand this is not the only way for preservation, conservation of nature. As a matter of fact, China has the 2740 nature reserves, all nationwide, and that's just about 15% of all the national territory is under the nature reserves. So if we can do the conservation to the standard, that would be great. I think the enlisting the Shennongjia into this UNESCO site actually helps to have a higher standard, because UNESCO does have this process of verification, reporting, and monitoring, and it does not really meet the standard, then you risk to be delisted. So at the same time, we also realize the purpose of doing the enlist the natural heritage site may be different for different people. So we have to be watchful, be very careful to see this not get into a risk of to attract a lot more tourists coming into the places, therefore to bring in pressure for this place. I think that would be counterproductive to the conservation.
Well, of course, when applying for the heritage sites, many of those who are in the application committee would love to make the judges or the panels understand that it is almost like their eyes, as important as their eyes to protect nature. However, after being listed, it could be changing the situation. So, Mr. Zhu, help us to understand in China's case, what do you make of some of the other natural heritage sites that has been listed by UNESCO? When you have enormous amount of Chinese tourists that are eager to see the beautiful land and the beautiful country, what is the best way to make that balance?
Actually, based on the experience for the past nominated World Nature Heritage Site, normally significantly increase the attract of a lot of tourists. So the visitors
largely increase as a result of it.
Yes, that's the normal phenomena. Probably not only China, also the other countries. The balance of that, actually, the one hand is very positive, like raise awareness about the World Natural Heritage Site, and significantly increase the awareness to the general public. But on the other hand, it's really did create huge pressure to manage how to effectively manage the site. So how to balance that, actually, it's have to set aside of the critical, the high value conservation area, not open for tourism, and set only allow a limited area for open for public, especially for the mass tourism.
What do you make of Shennongjia's case then? At this moment, they do have tourism areas, and they also have ecological conservation areas that is off limit to tourists. But can they protect that? Can they make sure it can continue in that way with increasing number of people very eager to understand the beauty of Shennongjia, Mr. Zhu?
Actually, after the site dominated, then they need to follow the operational guidelines. So hopefully, I believe Shennongjia will committed to follow these operation guidelines, and also the World Heritage Committee and supported by IUCN will theoretically to send a mission to do the evaluation whether they meet these requirements.
Right. Yeah. Well, the success being listed on the World Nature Heritage list is a big one, and yet it is seen as a start for site preservation, as the status might be degraded or even removed if protection falls below UNESCO standard. Take a look at this.
So far, 2 sites have been delisted. First, Oman's Arabian Oryx Sanctuary in 2007, as the number of oryxes declined rapidly. And the government made plans to explore for petroleum in the region encompassing 90% of the Oryx Sanctuary. Then, in 2009, Germany's Dresden-Elbe Valley was delisted as the government went on to build a 4-lane highway bridge, a modern construction that UNESCO deemed a failure to maintain its universal values. Generally, before a site is removed from the register, it is placed in UNESCO's list of World Heritage in Danger. There are now 55 properties in the list, with none from China.
What can we learn from some of these, shall I say, lessons we just talked about?
Well, there is a danger, there is a risk. If you don't do well to maintain and conserve the site, then you lose the status. I think the good news is, so far there has been none from China, and that's really good. But I think it's a really delicate balance to, on the one hand, to preserve the natural heritage, on the other hand, to really to control the number of a population who will come in and bring the pressure to the site. I think also the discussion is about this international airport in the Shennongjia. It's great for the tourist to see the beauty of nature and to learn, and also to facilitate international cooperation, for preservation. On the other hand, it's a huge pressure. I think the people, the administration, for the site will have huge job to balance the two.
At this moment, there have been a lot of debates about who really should have the say about the future of a place. For example, Shennongjia or other areas that has been listed on the UNESCO Natural Preservation List. They would say, would that be the local community? Or would they be the local officials? Or would that be the UNESCO that is giving out the status? Or the economists that are on your panel trying to verify how things are? So who should eventually have the right to have a say about the future of this place? Mr. Zhu, I think that's a very interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think immediately the responsibility will be the authority who is really directly make a decision and manage the World Nature Heritage Site. But do have like the high level government, different sectors should also take the responsibility. And the local communities, they are like a day-to-day live nearby or surrounding area, even inside of the World Natural Heritage Site, they have something to say. I think they need to play an important role. So the multi-stakeholders, they all have something to say. And since this World Nature Heritage Site have outstanding universal value, and also the international organization like UNESCO for sure, and IUCN, also other NGOs, civil society, and grassroots organization, they all have like the right to say something. If do anything wrong, I believe like everybody can say.
And therefore, Professor Qi, will more places, whether in China or elsewhere, be able to weigh? They would like to weigh more whether they want to apply even for a UNESCO list or not, because that means more scrutiny, that means more verification, that means more protection probably beyond what they want to do in terms of their own land. So once again, I think that's an interesting question. Who will have a final say and why?
Well, that is a typical issue
Yes,
in
indeed.
this ecological, environmental, and natural resource governance. And in the past, we really rely on the government, particularly the central government, have the final say. And nowadays, we have multi-stakeholders, to get involved in this. Well, whether or not this will translate into a caution in other local government, this is a really interesting issue. I think most local governments still very enthusiastic about the enlisting. On the other hand, for the nature reserves, we do see some of the local government to be more careful in order to balance their economic development
Right.
and the conservation.